Hello and welcome to the Advertiser's Guide to the Big Five Personality Model. Thank you for joining us. My name is Luella Benaziza. I am the product owner for SocialBro's Personality Insights product, which is powered by IBM Watson. SocialBro is the Twitter marketing platform that takes Twitter and structures it as if it were your own CRM. So you can use Twitter as a kind of living focus group. So you can monitor, listen, analyze audiences. You can dice up really specific and unique segments that can't be built on any other platform. And then you can serve up extremely targeted content through organic posts or via paid ads. You can do that on Twitter, and some of that can be done on Instagram as well. So we're a long-time certified partner of Twitter and also now an IBM Watson ecosystem app partner. You may have heard of IBM Watson before. It's IBM's cognitive computer. It's famous for winning the American quiz show Jeopardy, having been pitched against two of the show's best ever contestants. But since then, it's come a very long way. So healthcare particularly is one of the key focuses with the fight against cancer. One of those, Watson is being trained to identify different cancers and find very personalized treatments. So the Watson brain is being applied to some fantastic causes, and lucky for us, one of its early successes is in understanding personalities. So I want to hand over to Rama Ajiraku. We are very lucky to have Rama joining us today. She has a series of outstanding achievements over her 18-year career at IBM, where she has earned the title Distinguished Engineer and Master Inventor. So Rama currently leads the mission of People Insights. That is, she is in charge of IBM Watson's capability to understand humans. So Rama, would you please tell us a little bit more about IBM Watson?
Thank you very much, Luella, and it's a pleasure to be here on this forum today talking to you all. As Luella was introducing me, I lead the mission in IBM Watson division around People Insights. Our mission is to enable deeper understanding of humans and help our clients to better understand their customers so that they can personalize products and services and offerings. So as part of this mission, my team and I work on not only inferring people's personality, but also their emotions, their sentiments, attitudes, their those types of things, including the tone in which people communicate, and can we help them refine and revise the tone to specifically resonate with the target audience. So essentially, I would say, my team specifically looks at all kinds of things related to understanding humans and human emotions. And in the broader Watson division, as you have aptly mentioned, Luella, a lot of work is going on around applying the technology that we had originally developed for winning the quiz show to treating different kinds of diseases and illnesses, or rather, I should say, assisting physicians in helping with assimilating and bringing together lots and lots of information that would have been very difficult for a human to process. So processing that information and bringing all of the medical journal information to the fingertips of physicians and doctors and healthcare practitioners to help them in their jobs. Healthcare is one of the domains, and we're also looking at specific things and also building various components on the platform, and the platform, as we call, as the Watson Developer Cloud on Bluemix. Several natural language processing analytics are also available as modular services on the platform. So it's a journey. We are on an exciting path in this journey, and there are exciting times ahead in terms of what the potential is and what we can do. So very much looking forward to the journey, and happy to be collaborating with business partners such as yourselves, Luella, at SocialBro.
Thank you.
I'll hand it over to you.
Thanks, Rama. Okay, so Us being SocialBro, there is naturally a hashtag for this webinar. It's SocialBro Insights. We want it to be interactive. We'd love you to join the conversation by using that hashtag or tweeting at SocialBro or at Rama. We'll be live tweeting lots of sources and links using that hashtag, and this deck will go on SlideShare shortly if you fancy a memory prompt later. So one of the models that IBM Watson uses to understand humans is the Big Five personality model. So we're going to explain that model today, and we'll also take you through the values and needs personality model, an introduction to cognitive computing and how it can apply psycholinguistics to Twitter, how the personality models can predict human behaviour, and we'll also highlight some of the experiments and tests that IBM and Rama's team have conducted, so how they learned that these models could be applied to marketing and advertising through cognitive computing. So Rama's going to explain the cognitive computing, psycholinguistics, and the Big Five personality model side of things. But first, I want to explain what can be achieved when you bring the world's most valuable social media intelligence asset, which is Twitter, together with IBM Watson and SocialBro. So broadly, there are two big opportunities with personality insights. You can use it firstly for market research and strategic insight, where you analyze audiences to understand and contrast personality traits, and then to test hypotheses you may have. And secondly, you can use it to optimize your targeting and expand your audience. So by reaching people with traits that just make sense for a particular product or campaign, or even by reaching people with a combination of personality traits that suggest they're, for example, likely to respond to your tweets or redeem a coupon or to propagate information. And these are based on a series of experiments that IBM have run over the last 3 years. So for market research, we have already a major UK fashion retailer with a global presence who are using personality insights in quite an exciting way. So they started with a list of about 250 emails of their best customers. So these are people that represent a huge portion of their revenue because they frequently spend higher than the average order value. So in SocialBro, we matched that audience to Twitter usernames. We matched the email list. We then run reports on them to understand in detail what makes up that audience. So who are they? Who do they follow? What do they talk about in the relation to the category? Where are they? How responsive are they to ads and coupons? What personality traits do they have? And when are they active? And so we sat down with these reports, and by doing this, we were able to give the client a really, really detailed window into the heart of the customer. So we like to say it's a more human-like way of understanding an audience than typically we're used to. So from this data and from a personality insights report, we were able to start briefing the creative teams. So we know finally what drives our best customers. Are they philosophical? Are they content, hedonistic? Are they intellectually curious, for example? And what you can do with that from a creative point of view is almost boundless. The entire engagement plan, from the copy or the creative in Twitter ads, or even which channel they're engaged on, to the frequency of contact, to the product proposition, it's now ripe, it's open to be optimized specifically for that high value audience. So next, they will compare the personality profiles of their followers to people following their different competitors. So they can get some contrast there. They can see if all the people, for example, following their arch rival, who maybe is a lot more trend-led, but they're not following me, are they more likely to have artistic interests, for example? And of course, they can also look at new markets that they may be entering. If they're opening a local store or an international store, or launching a diffusion line, for example. So that high value audience that I talked about earlier, how amazing would it be if you could go on Twitter and find everyone who is similar to them and therefore likely to be an ideal customer? So in SocialBro, we were able to search all of Twitter for every potential customer who followed similar brands, who had the same personality traits, and even those who engaged in similar conversations. So we're able to expand that audience of 250 to almost 3,500 people. So you now have an ideal target audience, and thanks to the creative brief from the personality insights, a kind of psychologically engineered creative campaign ready to go specifically for that audience. So that retailer had a limited audience of 400,000 followers, but they now have every single high-value customer on Twitter who matches the profile of these people that they wanted to look at. And of course, that means that they can reach and acquire relationships with those people using targeted ads. And this can be done on a smaller scale as well. So let's take a specific campaign goal. If you wanted to shift a high margin product, I like to take this very distinctive coat from Topshop. It's £700. So it takes quite an arty and confident individual to pull off a coat like this. So what you can do now with SocialBro Personality Insights is you take a personality hypothesis from this product that people who are low self-consciousness and high artistic interests, or women who follow the fashion brands Missoni, Marni, or Shrimps, the fur coats, they are going to be more likely to buy these. And you can even look at, for example, everybody who has mentioned in the last couple of weeks that they need to update their winter wardrobe, or they're looking to buy a winter coat. So those are the people who are actually likely to buy this coat, and those are the people that you show this campaign to. Similarly, we can take a competitor's audience. So let's say you're a fashion brand looking to launch your first sportswear sub-collection. So with Personality Insights, we take all the followers of competing sportswear brands, and then we filter just the people who are, based on their personality traits, more likely to redeem a coupon, for example. We target them directly with a Twitter ads with a coupon, and then we are able to make my competitors' followers my customers, and this is clearly more effective and targeted than the campaigns we're used to. So when we talk about very targeted audiences at SocialBro, often this makes people a little bit nervous, because of course everybody wants to be part of a targeted audience and everybody wants targeted audiences, but people are very driven by having large audiences. So we completely understand this, but it's important to note that targeting smaller groups can actually deliver more overall engagements. So in September, we ran a campaign with one of our clients, Adecco. We took an audience of 8,000 people and we shared an ad with them. It's a random sample. We then found people, so it's a random sample within their follower base, and then we found within their follower base a group of people who scored higher on the personality dimensions openness and low on neuroticism. And Rama's research has told us that that makes them more likely to respond to targeted ads. So it resulted naturally in a smaller audience. So it was about 5,000 people. I'm talking about impressions. So 8,000 saw the random sample ad and 5,000 saw the targeted ad. And the smaller audience actually generated 85% more engagements. So 85% more engagements and double the number of leads. So we're showing here that smaller audiences can actually drive more responses overall. And those are the kind of experiments that we're running on an ongoing basis to kind of build a library of who responds to what. So you're probably wondering how we're able to see this kind of insight. It's only through our partnerships with IBM Watson and Twitter that this is even possible. We use the IBM Watson Personality Insights API, and it is an excellent example of how IBM are applying cognitive computing to the mission of understanding people. As I said, it's Rama that leads this mission, and she's going to explain for us how it all works. I'm going to hand over presenter rights to you, Rama.
Okay. All right. Thanks again, Luella. So let me now take you through some of the science behind personality insights and how we have built this capability, the cognitive capability to infer people's personality traits. So if you look at it at a nutshell, if I have to step back, I mentioned at the beginning when I introduced myself and my team's work, we look at really better understanding people. That's kind of the bigger picture perspective that we look at. So personality insights is one of them. I'll go deeper into it today. But I also wanted to talk about a couple of other things briefly here and say additional set of capabilities that we built include emotion analysis of individuals and tone analysis as well. So currently the system takes text authored by an individual as the input, and we employ different kinds of psychology models and machine learning models to infer these personality, tone, and emotions types of things. And specifically for personality, there is these three models, Big Five, needs, and values that we use. So that's what I'm going to tell you more about. On SocialBro, of course, very in a seamless manner integrates personality insights into the analytics on their platform. And of course, on in the future, we may look at tone analysis and emotion analysis together as well. And I'll talk about how some of those things could fit into really better understanding individuals and further personalizing products and services to individuals. So I told you that I would talk about these three things, the Big Five and the personality, Big Five personality model, then the needs and values models. So there are three different psychology models for each one of those, and they're shown on the left-hand side. So let's take one at a time. The Big Five personality model has 5 factors, as the name indicates, and these 5 factors are easily remembered with a mnemonic called OCEAN. O stands for openness, C for conscientiousness, E for extroversion, A for agreeableness, and N for neuroticism. And in general, we've noted that neuroticism is kind of not very well understood or is perceived as very negative term, so we actually use the word emotional range to represent it. So these are the 5 factors. So typically, the way psychologists have inferred personalities of people over the years is that they have developed these surveys, and in those surveys they ask different kinds of questions to people. Based on the responses, they infer the personality of individuals, depending on whether they said I highly agree with this statement, or highly disagree with this statement. I'm more likely to be like this versus less likely to be like this. Based on where they fall in the spectrum, there is specific mappings to people who answered these questions this way and these questions this way, mapped to these personality traits and such. So typically that's how psychologists have been inferring personality traits. And there is a large body of work that has been done over several decades, and there are multiple models, of course, Big Five being the most scientifically grounded and respected model. And so we rely on this well-established science of psychology models to lay the foundation and groundwork for our approach. Now the challenge is that if we, I'm skipping ahead, but I'll come back to it. The surveys tend to be very cumbersome. For example, if you were to infer the Big Five personality traits, you could be asked to take anywhere from 50 question survey to 150 question survey to 300 question survey, depending on how deep you want to get into understanding the personality traits. So recruiting large populations of such people to take surveys is not very practical, and it's very tedious for individuals to take such long questions, and at some point they start answering questions randomly. And even if they do, it's not going to scale to large populations. Like imagine millions of people on Twitter, you having to reach out and ask them to take surveys, and how many people would take them in order for us to understand their personality. So we have noted that surveys don't scale, and that's where the computational capability sets in, because if we look at today's world, for those of you who've been to Rome, know that if you sit on Spanish steps and observe people, you can learn a lot about people. And I would argue that today's social media is like the today's version of Spanish steps, right? Where people are leaving their digital footprints on social media. They're telling the world about themselves if they're broadcasting on Twitter, for example, or they're telling their friends and family about what's happening in their lives if they're doing it on Facebook. And they're writing about things on blog, their points of view, opinions, and so there's a lot of this kind of information that people are now creating about themselves on social media, and that is where the power of being able to infer one's personality from the digital footprints that people leave behind comes into picture. And so that's kind of, we take that as the starting point and say, how can we analyze the text that individuals have written? How can we analyze the in the future images and audio, video, and all these different kinds of signals that people are using to express themselves as sources of input for analysis to better understand who they are. So that's kind of the motivation for our work. Now I kind of go back to talk about what is the theory behind personality insights. So we all know, some of you may be familiar with this iceberg model. Whether you have seen it, known it, agree with it or not, it's we all know that from our childhood we have been exposed to different things. We've been taught certain values. We grow up with certain beliefs, and there is a certain thought process that is embedded into our upbringing, and then there are certain personality styles and emotional things that we are predisposed to, and all these things kind of really are the ones that drive the external behavior and the actions that we take that are visible and observable in the external world, right? So these the intrinsic things which really drive the external actions and behaviors are not always visible, but they are really very important. If somebody is gravitated toward a very unique kind of shirt that or jacket that Luella had shown, that's because there is something innate in them that gives them the urge to express themselves uniquely, and they don't want to be looking run-of-the-mill. They don't want to be safe. They want to make bold statements, and there is that inherent urge, and so that those kinds of qualities are innate, and there is an inherent need for self-expression. They value that adventurousness, are open to experiences, and in their personality they're extroverted, and these are the kinds of things that really gravitate people toward the selections, choices, behaviors that they make outwardly. So far, much of the I would say the analysis that's been done in retail or in other domains has been around shopping behaviors, because that's really kind of what we can observe. Because we know who they are at a high level, superficial level, their demographics, their age group, their income levels probably, and where they live, and what they have bought in the past. And based on that, retailers are more likely to recommend to them what they might be interested in. And that's not bad. It works to a large extent, and you would be able to offer people based on what they have bought. But that kind of a model falls apart when you don't know much about the individual and they haven't made purchases on your, say, on your store or in your store, and you don't know anything about them, and you don't know what to recommend, and you start out with some irrelevant ones, or you don't know what else they might be interested in because they haven't bought it before. Therefore, you don't know if they're likely to purchase something or not. Of course, one can always say others like you have bought this. who also bought the same product that you bought, therefore we will recommend it to you. But wouldn't it be a lot more insightful to know actually what is it that drives them? And if we really understood them at that deeper level, and with several studies, we are able to better understand these individuals' behavior, saying people who are like this are more likely to do that. People who have this inherent need for self-expression are likely to take risks and go for more unique type of things. Then it's not only that particular kind of jacket. You could pretty much recommend a whole bunch of things in different categories that you may not even have thought of, because it has a specific kind of attribute that appeals to this individual. So those are the kinds of studies that we've been able to do and others have been able to do in the field of psychology to really help us better understand the behavior of individuals. And that's the power of personality insights. Being able to understand people at the deeper level really opens up this door for us to know and understand what they are likely to do in different situations. So that's kind of what drives it. And I talked about these different models that we use. So I talked to you through this, I took you through this big five: ocean, mnemonic, and the personality traits called openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism or emotional range. And we have actually, I will not spend much time on this in the interest of time, but I will just show you this. So much of this documentation is available for you online. There is quite a bit of detailed information on, what does it mean for somebody who is high on agreeableness, low on agreeableness, and high on conscientiousness, low on consciousness. If these two traits come together as low or high, how do we interpret that individual? How do we interpret this? So we have a lot of material and a lot of theory that we can rely on in using the psychology models when we take this approach and bring it to computational power. So now let's look at so we in the Personality Insights service, which is what SocialBro platform is using, there are 3 different personality models embedded in. As I mentioned, one is the big five, the other one is values and needs. Emotion style modeling is in here for completion's sake, which is part of our other analytical service. So let's now look at the values. This is about what does an individual value? Does the individual value self-enhancement, as in their achievement striving and they seek power and they're constantly trying to improve themselves? And based on that, they will make certain, they will exhibit those values in specific behaviors and certain actions. Similarly, some people value openness to change. They get very tired of simply doing the same thing and routine types of things. Some people prefer really have a preference for self-transcendence. These would be the kind of people who would be pastors or leaders whose urge is to go beyond thinking about themselves to help others. Then there are some people who value conservation. They love adhering to traditions and customs, and they carry the thought forward for future generations, and they like the security that comes with that conservation and such. And these are different human values, and these are all come from, again, as I mentioned, psychology models that have been studied and refined over several decades of work. And we are able to computationally now infer people's values, needs, and personality traits. So let's look at the needs. Similarly, another model was created by psychologists to better understand the needs of individuals. And this could be, you have a need for self-expression, you have a need for challenge, you have a greater need for practicality, or you are the kind of person who needs structure in life and cannot really deal with too much of uncertainty in a day or in life, or you are the kind of person who needs harmony and does not like to get into conflict situations. You are the kind of person who likes liberty and that sense of freedom, and or you're the kind of person who likes excitement always in life. So there are different needs, and again, as I mentioned in that one example, of somebody who has a need for self-expression would go for a specific kind of a jacket. Somebody who is who prefers harmony, for example, would get into, if that person is a team member, probably would not raise points or different points of view, fearing that maybe that would result in conflict. So this kind of a situation or these kind of behaviors really are grounded in these things that they believe in, things that they value, things that they have to have in their life. So these are the models that our system relies on. So I mentioned about how were the psychologists doing this before using surveys, and we talked about how surveys won't scale for the larger populations that we want to analyze, and how we can leverage the various digital footprints that people are leaving behind to infer some of these traits. So how do we take this text and really arrive at these personality traits, that somebody is agreeable or extroverted, or that somebody has a need for this, or somebody has a value for that? How do we come at that from text? So again, linguists have studied this and have noted that different words really reflect who they are. The usage of words in daily life reflects who they are. So one way to go about it is by looking at those linguistic studies and say, what were the words that were found to be correlated with different traits? And another way to look at it is, well, let us take all of so we have a set of subjects that we use as part of study. We look at all their social media text and languages, and for those same set of individuals, we collect their surveys, survey responses, so that we have that ground truth, which is similar to how the psychologists use for inferring their personality. And we do this for smaller sample populations, standard statistical approach, where you have to test the accuracy of your model. And once the model is built and the accuracy is acceptable, you can then use the model instead of asking everybody to take the survey. Right? But you do need that ground truth on a certain number of sample population to establish and test. And so for about 500 people or so, we have done this study where we have asked them all to take this 300 question survey, the long survey, to infer their personality traits at a much deeper level along various sub-traits as well. And then we have collected their tweets on Twitter, and simply collect all of the things that they were saying, all the different words and different features. We look at their punctuation, the complexity of language, and the number of posts that they post, the frequency, and all these things. Put them all into a model, and let the model figure out which of these factors are really telling us about this individual and are known to be correlating with the personalities of individuals. And by using the ground truth, which is the surveys that we have collected of individuals. And we let the system train on a sample set of training data. Then we test the accuracy on test data, and if the accuracy looks acceptable, that's the model. So, and we continuously keep refining it as we collect additional data sources. In any case, simply said, it's a machine learning model that uses various kinds of features to find the correlations between the language and the words and the complexity of things that they use to infer people's personality, that we have developed over a period of 3 years by doing several studies. So that's how our model works. And so with SocialBro platform, for example, they were able to take everybody who is on Twitter and using their tweets infer their personality. If there were, this chart is talking about how if there are people in enterprise, how you could do the social media handle matching. Probably not as applicable to SocialBro, but I'll just put in a word here, which is that companies who have their customers in their customer record databases and would like to know more about their personality, how would they do it is the question, right? So for in such scenarios, we would be able to, using several techniques and several approaches and products that we have, be able to find the social media handles of these individuals. For example, Joe Smith in this particular enterprise database is the same as Jay Smith, who is tweeting, and therefore let's find the social media handle and find the personality of that individual, and use that information to do richer segmentation, and then design the campaigns and such. So this chart shows the architecture at a very high level. Essentially, the social media data. It could be text or other sources, but the 5 personality human needs and values are the ones that models inferred that come out, and it's currently available as an API on the Watson platform. And in the future, some of these emotional tone analysis ones will be coming out as more generally available products as well. Currently, they're in experimental state. So now, what I want to show is very quickly a few of the studies that we have done to correlate these personality traits with individuals' actions and behaviors. But before I go there, this is what I'm showing here now is on the Watson platform, how the service looks, and anybody can go try it out. You just put in a piece of text written by an individual and click analyze, and you get this textual summary of what that person is and such. But it's already been integrated into SocialBro, but what I want to really call out are the traits that we're able to infer. So I talked about the big 5: openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, and agreeableness and emotional range. And you will see underneath that actually there are several sub-facets, we call them, or could be sub-traits. Openness opens up into adventurousness, artistic interest, emotionality, imagination, intellect, and authority challenging. All these are known to be signs of openness. So same thing for conscientiousness. We have additional sub-traits that tell us more about the conscientiousness of individuals and such. So these are also part of the model. And what the numbers that you see, that we get are the percentile scores for this particular individual whose text we are analyzing. And essentially what it says is that this person is in the 96th percentile of openness as compared to other people who are on Twitter, who are tweeting on Twitter. So absolute values may not be as useful as saying that how does this individual compare us to the larger population. So that's kind of the percentile scores that you see here. So let me talk about some of the studies that we have done. So there is some of the things that Luella had shown at the beginning. People who score high on big 5 dimensions and facets like excitement seeking, friendliness and activity level, gregariousness, trust, morality, extroversion, agreeableness. These traits, more detailed traits as well as the higher level ones, are more likely to respond to tweets. As in, these are people, if you're looking to collect information, would these people, if a question came from a stranger, are they more likely to respond? As in, if you send a campaign, are they likely to click on it, for example, right? So who are the people who are more likely to click on a campaign? Well, you would look for people who are high on excitement seeking, friendliness, gregariousness, trust, morality, and such. And you know these people are more likely to click on a campaign. So maybe if you are being very selective about the advertising campaign, you may want to send to these individuals. And if you're trying to find, for example, influencers on the platform, you may say, here are the people who are high on modesty, openness, and friendliness. These are the people who are more likely to retweet. Interestingly enough, it says modesty, but that's what it is. Openness and friendliness is, I think we can easily relate to that these people will spread the information. So if there is an influencer, as in if that person has many followers on the platform, and if you are looking to see if how best to spread information, send it to these people, and they'll retweet it. And because they are followed by many people, they'll all get to see it. Targeted advertising, as in unsolicited advertising, some people respond more favorably. Some people just think of it as spam and won't even open that email or that coupon or such. So who are those people? Is again openness, who score low on emotional range, the people who are more likely to respond to the targeted advertising. And let me just call out one more thing. Brand preference. People who are high on conscientiousness, conservation, self-enhancement, agreeableness, these are the kind of people who would have brand preferences, affinity to brands. And we have done this study on a set of 6 to 7 brands, and there is a more larger study underway right now to expand this study into different domains, including who are the kind of people who are likely to be interested in organic food, who are the people who are likely to be interested in healthy living, who might be interested in, say, for example, artistic things, and therefore they're likely to check out museums when they go to a new city. Who are the people who are likely to take risks in investments, and who are the people who are likely to be a very good team player in a team setting, versus who are the people who are more likely to emerge as leaders in a team setting, and so on. So there are many different behaviors that we are interested in studying to correlating currently with personality traits, and all of this information is useful in different contexts in bringing more personalized products and services to them. So this is, in a gist, the work that we have done. I want to acknowledge our whole team who has been working on it for a good 3 years in studying, researching, and developing the models that went into it. And we are continuing our exciting journey to further understand this these correlations to help our business partners to leverage them in personalizing all kinds of things to their customers, products, services, engagements, campaigns, and such. So let me pause here and see if there are any questions, or Luella, should I hand it back to you at this point? How would you like to do it?
Thanks, Rama. Okay, if you could hand me back the presenting rights, that would be great. I might be able to take them. Let's see. Okay. There we go.
So I said stop sharing.
I've taken them back. Okay. So thank you ever so much for that, Rama. It's really interesting stuff, and it makes for a really exciting time for advertisers. I feel like we're really taking away a lot of the black box that covered personality targeting and focus groups. So you can see within SocialBro, thanks to IBM Watson, you can actually see and segment and reach these people. So with personality-driven marketing, I think we have 3 opportunities to do amazing things. So firstly, the immediate opportunity to optimize your campaigns by targeting just people that match those traits that you found in your experiments, people more likely to respond, or just removing those people that are less likely to respond. You instantly increase your relevancy, and that obviously makes your campaigns less wasteful. And as I explained earlier, that can even result in more engagements from a smaller audience. I think the second big opportunity is, as we start to see patterns in responses, we should be building a library that matches personality traits to campaigns, content, copy, and customer profiles, so that we can see who responds to what. How you do that is we start by going back, looking at competitor campaigns that have already been run on Twitter, or your own campaigns, and seeing, well, who was it that actually reacted to that content. I think that could be an incredibly powerful tool for advertisers, and as you know, Rama, it's something that we're doing internally, and we're continuing to look to build into pre-built segments into the product. And then I think this is one of the biggest opportunities we have ever had to truly understand, to verify and expand a customer persona. So with SocialBro, IBM Watson, and Twitter, you have this living focus group at your fingertips, and the ability to expand that and find everyone else on Twitter who is similar to the audience that you want. When you think about that, it's the chance to get to know your customers in a really profound way, and that is the foundation of all persuasive communication and real influence, really. So yeah, I can see some questions have been knocked around on Twitter. So I'm going to pose a couple of those to you, Rama. One of the questions that has come up is how do people's personality traits change over time? Does that affect personality insights, or have you found that their personality traits change over time?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So there are two schools of thought in the field of psychology. One school of thought says that people's personalities stabilize by the time they reach their adulthood, say about 30 plus, and the personality more or less is set in stone by then. In fact, that word was also used by the famous psychologist from Harvard Business School, Harvard School, in 1800s. And there is another school of thought, and a set of experiments were done that says that people's personalities actually do change and evolve over time. And it's not clear exactly in those studies if they said if it is within certain range or if it is, changing drastically. For example, in some studies, people have found that when a certain number of students were studied when they were in college, they tend to be very messy, but they become a little more organized and structured and cleanly in their lives once they get a job or get married, which sounds logical, that you get a little more responsible and do this and become a little more structured. But how does it go completely as in being unstructured to very structured? Probably not. So there are different schools of thought that even if you forget about Twitter, do people's personality change over time? If you just ask that fundamental question, there are different schools of thought. While more longitudinal studies need to be done, I would say that they probably stabilize, but maybe they're open to evolution within certain range, not drastic ranges. That's my hypothesis, which of course needs to be tested. But now coming back to Twitter, have we found that in individual's personality changes over time on Twitter? We've done some studies where we've taken the text authored by an individual from different points in time on Twitter and looked at that. Overall, it seemed like the changes that we noted are within statistical noise. So, but Twitter is only 5 years, 7 years old, right, and something like that. And how many people have actually actively started tweeting, and how much data is there if you go back and study. Some of those things need a lot more explorations. And we are also looking, and most studies are being conducted in our labs to better understand, do people express themselves differently on different forums, such as on Facebook versus Twitter versus your emails versus blog posts and such. Maybe you're trying to project one kind of persona about yourself. Would that mean that your personality changes, or is it just that you are revealing only certain parts of your personality on certain mediums? Or no matter what you do, we still can infer your personality reliably on different platforms. So some of these are very interesting questions, and we have been asking ourselves and are doing deeper studies. The results are awaited. We have intermediate results, but we need to complete our experiments before we can report the results. So I'm sorry that I don't have a very concrete answer, but I wanted to kind of give you all the context and where we are and some of the science that goes both ways in terms of do people's personality stabilize in literature.
Great, thank you very much. Another question. IBM Watson is a learning system. So how is personality insights learning? and verifying what it knows about personality?
Yeah, that's a very good question again. So we are constantly improving our models, which are learned through machine learning, and collecting more data. So that's the build time learning that's going on. But we also would like to really incorporate the runtime learning, and that's where when personality insights gets embedded into platforms such as SocialBro, we can really incorporate that learning. As in, let's say we design a coupon campaign or advertising campaign using personality insights on SocialBro platform, and let's say the campaign was released, and now we have results coming in on whether people actually clicked, people who we thought would likely click this advertising campaign. Have they clicked or not? Have they responded in the way we expected them to respond or not? Have they purchased this jacket that we have recommended for them or not? All of these are different data points from which we can further learn. These are all different kinds of features that go into understanding personality. And so as we're collecting more of these data points, we feed them back into the model, ideally, and do it. And so right now, because our personality insight service is a stateless service that is available on the platform for anybody to use, it does build time learning, and the runtime learning has to happen in the context of specific platforms that use the service to build specific applications. So in this particular case, we would love to work closely with SocialBro to see how these things are panning out, the expectations, are they coming up or not, are they clicking or not, and feed that data back in and learn the model over time. So that part of the runtime learning has to happen in the context of specific domain and applications that we build.
Great, thank you. So we have had a question about the UK cookie law, and I can tell you that this product isn't related to the cookie law, so it's not affected in the same way that, say, sentiment analysis is not affected by the cookie law. Personality insights isn't either. I also had a question about the deck itself. Would it be shared later? Yes, this deck will go on SlideShare, and the recording will also go on YouTube, and we'll circulate that on Twitter and to attendees and probably also to non-attendees. But other than that, I just want to thank everybody for attending the webinar. Rama as well, thank you so much for this product. It's a game changer, and thank you for all the knowledge you shared today. I hope it was insightful.
You're welcome, and it's a pleasure to be here, Lola. Thank you.
So anybody who might like to learn more about SocialBro Personality Insights, we're always happy to do one-to-one demo, and of course, we welcome you continuing the conversation on Twitter. I'll be working with Rama and the team here on the next phase of the product's development. So I'm also very open to hearing what your ideas are for the next phase of personality insights. So feel free to share those. And my email address and details are here. Please get in touch. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dinah.